Hey there folks, Admiral Matt Doody here of SRS Fleet, and today we're going to be going through my PvP build of the NX Refit. Okay, now the more observant of you out there are going to notice straight away that it's a rainbow build. Yes, shock, horror, oh my gosh, yes. Okay, like, let's get over that. Right, I'm doing this purely for my own enjoyment. This is still a very capable build. It's just running different energy types as opposed to one. Now, first one we have Pulse Phaser Dual Heavy Cannon, Accuracy 2, damage, Crit D 2. Yeah, it's nothing special. It may or may not give you a little bit of damage resistance for a few seconds. But, you know, again, it's a nice looking weapon. I've got a couple of Crit D4 anti-proton dual heavy cannons here. I've had these for several years now, since crafting was first introduced to us about 3 years ago. Quantum Phase dual heavy cannon. You pick this up from a mission. It's a free reward. It's a very good cannon if you're running a phaser build. You can run this in conjunction with the Quantum Phase torpedo if you want to go in for a full shield drain effects from that torpedo. It's a very capable torpedo. In fact, the weapons and you get from that mission, I think it's Stormbound, are some of the best free weapons you can get in the game. Now, no rainbow build, well, again, Disruptor build for that matter, is going to be complete without your Terran Task Force dual heavy cannon. The more damage you do to your enemy, the lower their hull is going to be, the more damage this cannon will do. The same goes for the beam. You know, the beam and the cannon here are some of the best in the game. In fact, probably the best in the game, sheerly because of the proc that you get. Now, in the rear, I'm running Herald Anti-Proton Turret, Act 3 Crit D. You know, not the best mods. You know, it's a nice mod, very nice mod. It may cost a pretty penny on the exchange as well, but I picked this up from a weapon box. Decided to upgrade it. I mean, before the rebalance, when procs was still what's the word, useful, or you know, actually procced. I was running 3 Herald Anti-Protons. I was running 2 turrets and a dual heavy cannon. You can see 2.5% chance for +7 bonus energy damage for 20 seconds. Now that they used to proc quite often, not so much anymore. So I keep just one of the turrets now for the nice purpley weapon effect. Now, at one point I was running the heavy biomolecular phaser turret from the Counter Command reputation for the 2-piece set bonus, but since being advised by a friend to try something else, simply because in PvP now there are a few traits that when you take radiation damage or you know, control based types of damage as well, like slows, holds, you know, that kind of stuff, they have traits to, you know, to negate this. Reconstructive radiation, prime example. So let's take a look at this and why I don't use it anymore. So 4.5% chance biomolecular incubation, -16.7 flight speed for 8 seconds. On expiration it deals radiation damage. Now, taking a look over here at the reconstructive radiation trait, when taking radiation damage you heal over time and remove all debuffs. So yeah, you get a nice hit point heal 1 second every 4 seconds. After 5 seconds, you know, or removes damage over time effects for 5 seconds, which, you know, a lot of radiation and dot effects are going to expire by that point anyway. And you know, if you've been debuffed, if you've been if you've been sub nuked or anything as well, using this trait, it's gonna clear that stuff away. So you can see, let's take this back off and throw on my phase biomatter turret. Okay, going for the deflector engines, warp core. So I'm using the prevailing innovated deflector array. It gives you a nice weapon specialization, improves critical hit chance. As you can see, I'm only running 2 vulnerability locators on this, so the crit chance isn't very high. So I need to squeeze out as much critical, as many critical hits as I possibly can. Innovated engines. Again, competitive engine. If you're in an escort, if you're on a speed build, absolutely fantastic for that getaway, or you know, that quick turn to get your cannons bearing onto the enemy, or just get out of trouble. You know, get yourself in and out of a fight as quickly as possible. Now I'm using the fortified engine shields. So I'm really skipping backwards and forwards on this one. What? Okay, the 45 resilient shield. 3 types of shield you can pick from. One will give you critical chance and severity for 5 seconds, 5% chance. One will give you 3,000 temporary hit points for 5 seconds. For me, this was a no-brainer. 20% maximum hit points for 10 seconds. I know the crit chance and severity might be appealing for some, but for 5 seconds and only at a 5% chance to even get that proc, it's way too low for me. If it's something's going to give me an RNG proc like that, it's going to have to be a little bit extra hull. Now, I'm experimenting at the minute with warp cores. I'm using the Elite Fleet Isolated Protomatter warp core, which you can pick up from the new Drenio Colony fleet holding. You get these at tier 1. Now, the one I'm using gives you a percentage of your engine power towards your weapons. Obviously, I'm using quite a lot of energy weapon power draining of weapons here. You know, these cannons take away 12 weapon power per shot. So I've got the one that gives me a bit of transfer rate. I was going to use the sustained protomatter warp core. This will give an extra minus 10% weapon power reduction cost, but I'm using the emergency weapon cycle trait, which gives you minus 50 anyway. I'll get to that in a moment and why I chose to use the isolated warp core. Again, I'm using the heavy escort railgun here. It's a solid one. Again, there are better ones out there. I've not got my hands on those for this character yet. Eventually, I might go and get the Zinkethi escort simply up because it has a fantastic heavy weapon. Now, devices, what I'm using here are the target lock batteries, plus 50 accuracy rating for 20 seconds. Again, accuracy is very important when fighting those very quick, fast escort types. And again, if you want to get a little bit of extra oomph to get yourself out of a sticky situation, deuterium surplus, they'll basically give you the same proc as the competitive engine. You get a bit, you get, you know, also extra flight strength. So if you are locked down, smack one of these on, and it should get you out of most situations. Now for consoles, what I'm doing here is the conductive RCS accelerator with res all. So it's got the same damage resistance as you'd get from a standard it's got the same damage resistance as you get from a standard neutronium. Let's pop this open and see if I've got any in my... No. Okay, binaural infusion circuits. A Lobby console, it costs 200 Lobby. It's got a very nice amount of critical severity on there. It's quite important. A bit of hull cap, a bit of control expertise, you know, to get, again, counter those gravity wells and tractor beams that are constantly being thrown on you. The regenerative integrity field from the Kabali Samsar. We got this as an anniversary event a few years ago. It took a little bit of a nerf with the heal that it gives. Again, in the rebalance, it's still a very effective console. However, I must say that if you do have the Proto Matter Field console, you use that console there. It's fantastic. If I had access to it, the integrity field would certainly be replaced by that. Now, okay, moving on to the assimilated module. Crit chance, very nice. Crit severity, again, very nice. +5 weapon power setting. It's, you know, again, the more weapon power, the higher weapon power you can get, especially as a tactical, the better. Gives it a nice little bit of hull restoration, regeneration, sorry, and some, again, a little bit of control expertise. Now, the second part to the quantum phase cannon that I'm running is the quantum phase converter. Nothing too special by itself. Gives you a little bit of drain resistance, a little bit of phaser damage. Also hot restart, so if my auxiliary power was ever offline, makes me unable to use some abilities. This will automatically put that back into usable status. I'm really running this console for the 2-piece set bonus. As you can see, scrolling down here, gives you a +15 accuracy rating. Now, accuracy is, again, like I said, it is very important for combating those very quick enemies you see buzzing all about the place. If you can't hit them, you can't do damage, and then it just becomes a who can wear each other down first battle, and it can get long and drawn out and boring. And yeah, so plus it's nice to be able to actually hit your enemy with your weapons, because that's kind of the point of PvP, right? Okay, the dynamic power redistributor module. Now, this can be very expensive for a Federation character. It has to come from a lockbox ship. That ship is available in the Infinity Tier 6 prize pack. It's called the Prototype Dreadnought Cruiser, or the Atlas class. Now, again, its passives very mundane, very meh. It's only when the console is activated. It has a 2-minute activation period for 20 seconds. It has a huge category 2 damage buff, 40%. Again, 100 bonus damage resistance and 500% hull regen per minute for 20 seconds. Now, that's a lot. This console will keep you alive. It will keep you alive. If you use it correctly, you can either use it offensively or defensively. If you hit this and say you're at 50% hull, if you hit this and you die, there's something either seriously wrong or you're just being shot at by a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of the must-have consoles. Klingons and Romulans can pick this console up pretty cheap from the exchange. it's yeah, it's below 10 million at this point in the at this point in the game. At this point in time, this console is about 5 to 6 million energy credits for a Klingon character. Again, two vulnerability locators for the cannon weapon damage. You see, I'm not specific to any one energy type, so I'm running the cannon locators here. Really, it's for the crit chance, which you need. Everybody needs crit chance if you're a tactical. If you're running crit D cannons like I am on there with my anti-protons, I'm going to need to get again as many crits out as I possibly can to utilise those. Hydrodynamics compensator. This is the alternative piece of the counter command set that I'm using for now instead of the phaser turret. Gives a bit of engine power set in, a bit of auxiliary, which again I'm not too bothered about. I don't really concern myself with auxiliary power because I'm running a double ox to bat build, which we'll get to in a minute. A little bit of weapon accuracy there. Now that's not going to give me 21.6 extra accuracy. This is based on your skills. So if you've gone into the accuracy skill in the skill tree, this is just going to add a little bit to that. For this, it equates to about 3% extra accuracy. It is what it is, but again, I'm using this more for the two-piece set bonus. Use it with the counter command, multi-conduit energy relay. A bit of phase damage, disruptor. I'm using the disruptor and phaser cannons. That's brilliant. But really, it's the category 2 phaser and disruptor damage. 7.5% bonus phaser and disruptor weapon damage. That's gonna make those consoles useful. Now, the weapon sensor enhancer. Again, stacks all of the accuracy you need to squeeze out. I mean, for me personally, okay, I need to squeeze out as much accuracy as possible. When I'm in PvP, I fight a lot of quick moving targets with high defense. You need to counter that defense with accuracy and vice versa. So for this, for my build purposes, this console's a must-have. Really is a must-have. You get a nice amount of control expertise again to keep you away from those tractor beams and gravity wells. Let's just take a look at the stats here. Okay, hull 74,600. Nice. Shield. I don't really invest a lot into shield. In fact, I invest nothing at all into shields in my skill tree. Damage resistance, pretty middle of the road. The 3-piece, what I forgot to mention, is the 3-piece from the competitive set. Gives you a pretty decent energy damage resistance rating. Now, fully buffed, you'll average between 66 and say about 76 energy damage resistance with this. I've seen myself go up to about 86 to 88% energy resistance with the DPRM activated. Also, you get, with that, it's not specific to energy damage. You also get a bit of kinetic when that's activated as well. So accuracy 95.2. Again, that comes partly because of the weapon sensor enhancer. So let's see what we get when we take that off. 55.2. Okay. Hydrodynamics. Let's give that a second to drop. Let me take that off. Let's see, 37. This is basic average accuracy there. Again, I'm running superior accurate, which gives an extra 15. So I'd only have 22% accuracy if it weren't for those 3 pieces. So yes, extremely useful consoles to have on. Again, One of them's reputation, one of them's a free mission reward. The only one that will cost you is the weapon sensor enhancer, which is a lobby store item. 17.9 crit chance. Again, it's a little bit on the low side for me. I prefer to have at least 20%, but you get extra critical hit rating from your deflector anyway, so that's not as bad. A little bit of crit severity there, 112. Again, 100's the bare minimum I feel comfortable with. Now let's go on to personal space traits. Starting off with, you know, the basic ones, the ones we get for nothing at all. So superior, we get the basic accurate for free. The basic accurate will give you +10 accuracy rating. Superior will give you +15. You can pick this up from your K13 fleet holding. Again, stacking as much accuracy as you possibly can. You need to be able to hit your enemy to do damage. This is where a lot of escort builds go wrong. Superior cannon training, 7.5% bonus cannon weapon damage. If I'm running cannons, I want to utilise the cannons and get them to do as much damage as possible. Superior elusive, again the standard elusive you'll get for free. Will give you +10 defense rating. This will give you +15. People with high accuracy or medium to high accuracy, say about 50 accuracy, if I have this on, it's going to make them extremely it's going to give them a job to be able to hit me. It's only when you get the fully buffed accuracy bonuses from things like batteries and, you know, console set bonuses, that it makes, you know, it makes my life difficult when when accuracy is over 200%. It's very hard to maintain any level of defense for any length of time, to negate that. Okay, repair crews. This is from a lockbox. I'm not too sure if at the moment this is not currently at the moment in the Infinity Pack. It should be during the next event though. Next time the Infinity Box comes out, this trait will be in there and the price will drop. I think last week I saw it at about 14 million. The prices do fluctuate up and down. Average it's about 6 million. It's worth it for me. You get up to +25 damage resistance rating after 25 seconds of being at red alert, and you get a nice little hull repair rate bonus as well. Okay, secret command codes, again from the lockbox. This is in the Infinity Pack, so if you have access to those, or if you have a few bits of EC knocking around, this gives you a resist to confuse, disable, root, hold, placate, you know, anything like that that's gonna be a bonus to you in PvP. Gives you a resistance to it. Now, say if somebody's using the competitive shield, you get the placate dropping every, you know, couple of seconds, 20 seconds, or if somebody's using the Oxystiff doff that placates you when you strike them with energy weapons and you can't see them, this will help you counteract those effects. It will also give you a little bit of damage resistance rating and some temporary hit points when you are struck by a control effect. Inspirational leader, you know, when you activate a bridge officer ability, grants +10 to most starship skills. Things like, you know, your weapon specialization, so it'll increase your weapon power, it'll increase your shield power, skills, you know, so it'll make you a bit more survivable, do a bit more damage. Can't really go wrong. I mean, it's not as optimal, it's not as much of a must-have as it used to be, but for me, I like it. It still works well for my build, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Point blank shot. Again, everybody pretty much knows what this does. The closer you are to an enemy, up to 2 kilometers, you'll get up to 10% category 2 weapon damage. Give it your all. Now this will give you a 20% chance of all incoming damage for 3 seconds. Give you the ability to dodge it. A dodge is kind of like a glancing blow. It's not a miss, so you do still take some damage, but it's, you know, it's not as bad as being hit full on. And 3 seconds, that could, you know, be more than enough time for an escort to come around, give you a full cannon shot right up your tailpipe. And you don't want to be taking all that, especially if they're just coming out of cloak or if they're fully buffed coming towards you. So yeah, it gives you a bit of a chance. And now this one, this is a new addition to my build, galvanized munitions from the Zinkethi lockbox. When you're firing your cannon and turret weapons, 10% of the damage you deal comes back to yourself as your forward shield regeneration. Now if you're running things like tac team or using, you know, things to balance your shields out, it's going to give all of your shield facings some regeneration there. So again, I'm testing it out, but so far so good. It's quite a decent heal. Now as you can see, I'm using the invincible trait. I really don't want to. I said, for, you know, since the day this came out that I would never use it. I hate this trait. It's killed PvP. Totally had to go back on, you know, my opinions there. Since the rebalance, a lot of vapors have started to re-emerge, especially in Karat or arenas. And there's so much spike damage now that if you don't use a trait like this or continuity, or have a heck of a lot of damage resistance to start off with, or, you know, if you can't preempt the attack on yourself, you're just going to end up hitting the respawn button every 10 seconds, and that's not going to be fun for you. You're going to be frustrated. I know I was, so I had to go out and get this trait. So once you hit below 5% hull, you become immune to death for 8 seconds. You get some, you know, extra hull healing ability granted to yourself. And it's got a 2-minute cooldown, which isn't very long. But again, in PvP, that 2 minutes can be a lifetime. Okay, so I'm using the preferential targeting trait. Now, I would be a complete fool if I were to use the NX with no cannon, or with cannons, and not use a trait that comes with it, especially one that's as good as this. After using beam fire at will or cannon scatter volley, 100% damage to beam overload and cannon rapid fire for 30 seconds. I wouldn't mix beam fire at will with beam overload, guys. It's just going to put, you know, they're on a shared cooldown. So what I do, although I don't use any beam abilities, I've got beam fire at will 1 here, which will give my cannon rapid fire a nice big juicy buff to shoot my enemies down a lot quicker with. Superior pedal to the metal. Now, again, category 2 damage bonus. So once this is fully charged, you get 30% all damage bonus. It's a very good trait. Again, especially if you are a fast firing, fast moving escort like myself. 30% cat 2 damage. I mean, blimey. I mean, that's almost the same amount of damage you get from the dynamic power redistributor module, which people are paying almost 400 million EC for, and this is a free trait. Utilize it as best you can, if you can, in my opinion. Okay, emergency weapon cycle. Pretty standard stuff. Minus 50% weapon power cost for 30 seconds when activating emergency power to weapons, and 20% firing cycle haste. Now, 30 seconds, again, it can be a long time. You might think, oh, that's not worth it. Well, let's just see. I went to power to weapons 3. 38 seconds. I'm running an Oxabat build. Or you can just run damage control engineers or a couple of points in engineering readiness. I mean, this is going to give you 100% uptime with most types of build. It's a really good trait. And, you know, the more weapon power cost reduction you have, the more your energy weapon or your weapon power is going to stay up at or as close to cap as you possibly can, and that's the target. You need to keep your weapon power high to do damage. Now go for the kill. Yeah, a bit of a pay to win trait, to be honest. You know, this comes from the strike ship or the recon ship, the tier 6 bug ship to most people. Critical hits extend the duration of cannon rapid fire by 3 seconds, can occur once every 5 seconds. I got really lucky with this. You know, when this first came out, I had saved up enough keys on the exchange, or, you know, for buying and selling, doing the exchange grind as most people do, to earn 5 R&D boxes. That's where I pulled my bug ship out of. So yeah, didn't exactly pay through the nose, but I paid in time. Many hours was spent sitting at the exchange, and I was extremely lucky to have that drop. Okay, space reputation, viral engine overload. Basically sets your enemy's weapon engine power to 0, reduces the flight speed for 10 seconds, turn rate for 10 seconds, and can trigger once every 30 seconds. If they're dead in the water, they're just a sitting duck. They're an easy target. There are ways around this trait if you have the Terran task force engine. You get 100 bonus damage resistance once your engines are offline. Now, very few people are using that engine as far as I know. I mean, there was a bit of a phase when this trait was first released, but I think the majority of people now are using the competitive engine, especially if they're in an escort. Now I'm running the enhanced armor penetration from the Terran ability traits there. Armor penetration is, you know, it's fantastic. This is basically half of a pen mod. There are 2 types of penetration when it comes, well, 3 types really, if you count shield penetration. But there are 2 types of penetration really that really count. One of them is armor penetration, and the other one is hull penetration. Now, hull penetration is what you basically get when you activate, you know, when you throw in penetration onto your skills. Armor penetration is a little bit different. Now, it's basically 10 times the amount you'd get from hull pen. So your K13 consoles have hull pen. It's basically just adding to your skill. One pen mod from a weapon will be the same as having 3 points in your hull penetration skill on your skill tree. So for what it is, +5 armor pen, it equates to about 2 points in your skill tree under the penetration scale. Very worthwhile having, in my opinion. Okay, precision, 4% critical hit chance, standard. Don't need explaining on that one. Again, the same as this. Advanced targeting systems, 16% crit severity. Does what it says on the tin. Okay, advanced tool reinforcement, +10 bonus to all damage resistance. Now, +10 may not sound like a lot, but let's take this off for us. Let's just check out my damage resistance here for a second. So anti-proton resist 43.5, as is all of my other energy damage, and 51.3 kinetic. Now let's go take a look at what happens when we take this off. That drops quite a way, as you can see. Now if we were to, so let's remember those numbers there, 37.9 for energy. Let's just remember the energy damage resist, 37.9. Now there are traits out there that are going to say they do, you know, 20% this and 20% that. Okay, prime example, velocity actuators. Plus 20 physical damage resistance and plus 20 kinetic damage resistance. Now, if we remember over here, okay, let's kinetic, 46.5%. So let's go back up. Velocity actuators. Now, 50.6%, quite respectable, I do agree. But 50.6 from a plus 20 damage resistance rating, and with advanced hull reinforcement with a bonus damage resistance rating 51.3. So basically this is why I run that trait over other damage resistance traits available. Okay, skill tree. This may need a bit of an update at some point, but again for now, it's fit for purpose. It suits my needs. So 2 points in hull restoration. Again, you need to be able to also, as well as take a hit, recover from a hit, and this helps me do that. A couple of points in hull cap. You know, I'm maxed out in advanced weapon training, advanced projectile training. I know on this build I'm not running projectile weapons, unless you count your heavy weapon. But anyway, I'm not running any torpedoes. But on other builds I do. So that for me, you know, it is how it's going to stay. Advanced targeting expertise. Again, accuracy, plus 15 accuracy right there. Again, you can't do damage to an enemy if you don't hit them, and vice versa, they can't do damage to you if they can't hit you. Improved drain expertise and improved control expertise. Again, just gives you a bit of resistance to both drain and control abilities there. Only 1 point in impulse. On other characters I've got all 3 points. But I think for this ship, especially when running the Motor Power to Engines 3, the competitive engine, one point for me is enough. Improved EPS flow. EPS is still very important to be able to recover your power levels. Hull plating, you know, energized and ablative, to give you the bonus damage resistance. What's the point of being a glass cannon build, unless you can be a glass cannon and get in and out of a fight before anybody knows you're there. If you will be like a vapor build, you may not need to have all 3 points in that, but I'm not. My play style is, you know, I like to dogfight. I like to stand toe to toe with an enemy, and fight out like a couple of heavyweights. Yeah, points in damage control. Again, you get a bit of regeneration out of combat, a little bit of regeneration in combat. Not very important, but again, regeneration's regeneration. A little bit can't hurt you. Weapon amplification, so it gives you 40% crit severity bonus from your weapons. Again, weapon specialization, 4% crit chance. Yeah, it's not too bad. You know, again, you need to squeeze out the critical hits as and when you can. As I mentioned earlier, with the advanced shield penetration, this gives you, it's basically bleed through, like it says, was there additional bleed through. And here we go, the advanced hull penetration. Total skill bonus 100, armor penetration plus 10. So that's the same as a pen mod. Half of the enhanced armor penetration trait there. But again, that equals to 100 hull pen. Advanced long range sensors. Now, I've seen this on a few tactical builds or energy weapon builds. You need all 3 points in this, guys, unless you're a side build who doesn't use energy weapons. You're just not living up to your ship's potential. The further you are from your enemy, the less damage you're going to do. Having all 3 points in this, it reduces the the distance, diminishing return, or the diminishing damage you get from the further you are away from being from your enemy. Bit of bonus weapon power there for the offensive subsystem tuning, a little bit of engines as well. Warp core potential, again, bonus to subsystem power levels, and that's all we've got in skills. No readinesses, because again, as you can see, I'm using a double ox to bat build. Now let's go to my duty officers here. So, emergency con hologram. When activating your emergency power to engines, it resets the cooldown for your evasive maneuvers. Again, this is the bread and butter doff for most speed scorts. It'll keep you alive. It'll keep you, out of trouble. Use it wisely. Don't spam your evasive maneuvers. Use this wisely. Use it tactically. There we go. Right. Oh, it's been a long day, folks. Okay, now, con officer gives me extra accuracy and perception for tactical team. So this should help you again versus the placates you get from the competitive shield, against the Oxter Sift off, things like that. So again, I've got the Knuckle Warfare Specialist. So when I activate my engineering abilities, 20% chance for 10% of the next 10 sources of outgoing damage to be applied as hull healing. Not a bad doff, not essential. It's not the highest passing heal that you have, but again, it can help with a little bit of spike healing. 2 technicians, again, for the Ox to bat to reduce my cooldowns, and a warp core engineer. 40% chance when activating emergency power to X abilities, to add a cleanse, to remove all debuffs. Okay, now finally here we go to my bridge officer stations. So this has a lieutenant pilot and a lieutenant commander temporal seat. Now, I'm not one of these EPG guys. I never have really been. When people were flying around as tactical captains with their EPG builds, I was wondering why tactical captains could make better science captains than an actual science captain. So temporal's never really been a thing for me. But I do use a temporal ability here that's not based on anything else other than your own skills. Causal reversion. You get a little bit of bonus hit points based on how much entropy is on a target. Again, not too bothered about entropy. And it removes damage over time and entropy from yourself. So that's pretty decent. So if you've got a dot on you, causal reversion will take it off. Ox to bat. Again, I've mentioned this to reduce the cooldown times with the bridge officer abilities. Emergency power to engines 3, flight speed, turn rate in engine power setting. Um, you know, because it's nice to be fast. It's fun to be fast. So my lieutenant tactical pilot attack pattern lambda again. While I'm firing my energy weapons, I get an extra 37.5 accuracy rating and perception to help me again. Again, the blockades are a big part of PvP now for a lot of builds. But again, accuracy, another big part. So lambda's quite good. Hold together. Again, it's a damage resistance and hit points, and removes one hazard effect per second. It's not quite the same as causal reversion or hazard emitters where it will clear dots. But again, the damage resistance from this ability is nice. It usually passes as my highest heal. Only an ensign science here with this with this ship, unless you want to utilize Lieutenant Commander Universal Temporal. Polarized hull again. It would get me out of those tractor beams, make me immune, and extra damage resistance. The other Lieutenant Commander, I've got an engineer again, so I'm running 2 engineers. Engineering team, pretty standard. You know, it's a heal. Again, another Oxtabat to cool down my previous Oxtabat, and any emergency power to weapons for the bonus weapon power, the bonus damage, and the proc from my emergency weapon cycle. Okay, fire at will 1, as I mentioned before, this is purely to kick off the proc from the preferential targeting starship trait which comes with the NX, which gives my cannon rapid fire bonus damage while it's activated. As you can see, I'm running cannon rapid fire 3 there. Tactical team 2, because again tactical team's important. It'll rebalance your shield, it'll clear some effects away from you, and it'll increase your energy weapon training, your projectile weapon training skills, so that means more damage. And attack pattern Omega, it does share a cooldown with Lambda, but again 15% bonus all damage. That's category 2 damage, flight speed, turn rate, and a nice little bit of defense and damage resistance. Immunity to movement debuffs, so again, gravity well, tractor beam. If you have this along with your polarized hull working together like that, they shouldn't be a problem at all. No problem at all. And okay, guys, reputation. This is the last part. What are we doing? Specializations. Here we go. Okay. Now, I'm fiddling about with my Miracle Worker tree at the moment. It's not fully complete. I don't know if I'll ever go for the full primary for this ship. I do enjoy the bonuses you get from pilotry, but again, fix them up. Damage resistance, very good for a small hulled ship. Throw out the manual critical healing. Oh, fantastic. Critical heals. So you've got a 20% heal critical chance. So if you're hitting heals, like, you know, heal over time stuff, things like hold together, the galvanized weapons or galvanized munitions, there's a chance that they might crit and give you a bigger heal than you expected. Automated leak detection. When affected by a subsystem power drain, remove all subsystem power drains, immune to subsystem power drain for 5 seconds. Wow, okay, so if you're in a drain build and try and use that stuff on me, yeah, pretty good chance that it's not going to work. That can happen once every 30 seconds. It's not 100% useful. I mean, you know, it basically it doesn't nerf drain builds. Once every 30 seconds. Some people have 2-3 drain abilities, or if you're in a team, like a pre-made team, you're going to have 2 or 3 drainers there that are ready to stack up on those drains, and they will leave you there defenseless. Reflective emitters again. When affected by shield drain, you get a bit of shield regen. Seal the deck. When affected by damage over time effect, remove the dots from yourself. That's pretty decent. That is, dots are painful, or can be. And embolden. When activating a hull heal, you get a little bit of crit chance. Again, absolutely fantastic. Everybody loves a bit of crit chance. Oh, I don't know if you could see there as well. Sorry, I was using the pilot tree as my primary. Again, for the bonus turn rate, the bonuses you get there, all shook up, 20% extra damage, defense after rock and roll, magic carpet ride, you get a bit of turn rate, things like danger zone, depending on how many enemies are around, are around your ship, within a 2 kilometer radius. So if you're buzzing in and out of range of your enemies, you get some bonus damage. Yeah, and again, wingman, same thing as danger zone, but with allies. So if you're bunched up with a bunch of allies, yeah, bonus all damage up to 20%. 2 kilometers, it's a very small radius to have, especially if you're zipping about. But that one shot while you're within range of a friend, of a teammate, might be the cause of a victory. Okay, right, that's it for me for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching the videos. I appreciate the support from people in game, people out of game. I've mentioned, I've seen people mention my name on some of the So Build Facebook pages, and it's really appreciated, guys. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, keep watching. More videos will be coming at some point, as and when I get the time to put them out, or as and when new build ideas come to me. But yeah, let me hear your build ideas. If you've got any suggestions for me, I'm in no way, shape or form the epitome of PvP in this game. There are people out there who show me on a regular basis how it's really done. So yeah, please, your suggestions, if you have any for me to help improve my game, for me to be able to enjoy my game better, feel free to leave a comment in the description.